Oh, man.
Today we'll be reviewing Wonder Woman 1984. So Wonder Woman 1984 is the sequel to, I think, 2016's Wonder Woman. Same director, Patty Jenkins, who did the first film. Gal Gadot and Chris Pine are returning for this film as well. And in addition to that, they're throwing Kristen Wiig into the mix. So if you can't tell by the title, it takes place in 1984 after the events of the previous film, of the first film. And it's about an artifact that comes into possession of where she works at the Smithsonian, and that grants wishes to the people who touch it. And it comes into contact with some nefarious characters, a villain who wants to use it for his own power. And I don't know if I want to explain too much more than that, just for the sake of spoilers, and I know people are looking forward to this movie if they haven't seen it yet. So, Matthew, what did you think of Wonder Woman 1984?
Well, not to bust the bubble of anybody looking forward to watching this movie, but I was kind of disappointed by this movie. I was really looking forward to it as well. And sometimes when you're watching a superhero movie, you kind of know what to expect, and you can kind of just enjoy it and have a ball with it. And in this movie, I think just some of the problems were just way too glaring. And I think the main problem with this movie is the story. And as you explained, it's about this kind of object that grants your innermost wish. And this is just a story I have seen so many times.
Do you feel like something about this plot was concocted just to bring Chris Pine back?
Yes. For sure. Yeah, everybody knew he was coming back. I'm not particularly bothered by the way he came back. I think they brought him back just because of that relationship and that chemistry that him and Gal Gadot's character as Wonder Woman have. Mm-hmm. And the problem with that in terms of this film is I don't feel like that magic was replicated. The reason being is that I feel it was all done very superficially. The story was progressing and characters were doing things and events were occurring, and I felt nothing for them. I just didn't really care.
Yeah, you're right. The main problem is the story. I'm not sure why the story needed to be told. It didn't have a feeling like an essential feeling that would bring about this natural intensity or this natural momentum of plot. I don't think I felt that even for an instant. It's very aimless. It's kind of juggling a lot of things. And we see superhero movies juggle a lot of things a lot of times. I mean, some of the best superhero movies ever juggle a lot of plot lines. But this one, it just felt like it was just emotionlessly moving from scene to scene. And I wasn't even sure why. There are these character arcs that on paper sound really good, but happen suddenly. In addition to that, I think the action sequences for me are a little just ridiculous. I mean, it's really hard to take seriously because Wonder Woman is so powerful. She's flying through the air, she's throwing trucks. I just never felt like she was in any danger. Yeah, and it's just aimless. I said to you, I think this movie moves between being lackluster and just being completely nonsensical.
Yeah. Yeah, I think with the flaws of the script in consideration, I thought everybody did a really good job with what they had. I thought Gal Gadot was great as Wonder Woman, as always. I thought Kristen Wiig was probably one of my favorite parts of the movie. I think I started to like her character less and less, and I think just because her motivations as the movie progressed, made less and less sense to me.
I also think some of the parallels with the villain, I like how the origin of the villain, what he's trying to do, his motivations are rooted in male fragility. He feels really inadequate and he has this kind of profound sense of masculine insecurity. And that's really the origin of why he goes on the journey that he goes on.
Yeah, I thought a lot of this movie was unfortunately a little bit too performative in that sense. The beginning of the movie I thought was pretty decent. I really liked the comedy. I thought they were building the characters very well. This speaks a lot to the villains in the movie. I'm glad that I actually spent the time to kind of explain their motivations for why they are doing bad things. The problem with that is that all these kind of personal traits and things that meant something are kind of lost during the progression of the movie, so that by the end, there's just way too many cliches. And none of it really feels personally detailed to the character itself. It just feels like they're kind of just doing these things and I didn't feel the connection of those actions to the beginning of the film.
Yeah, there's really nothing worse than when a movie wants you to feel something and you feel so disconnected from it. Like when it's outlining for you, this is exactly how you should feel, and you say, I don't feel that way. That's one of the worst feelings I think you could have in movies. At a certain point, this movie, with all of the wishes being granted, it kind of becomes like that movie Bruce Almighty, where everyone's prayers are being answered and the world kind of like falls into chaos, and you're saying, is this like the ponderous Bruce Almighty? It's just, yeah, I got nothing.
I mean, that's kind of going back to what I was saying at the beginning, was that this is a story I think we've just all seen before. You could connect that to anything. You could connect it to Aladdin. I don't know. I'm just so disappointed because I enjoyed the first movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed the first movie
and
too.
And this one is just going to be kind of forgetful to me.
With what you're saying about originality, though, I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen like an original superhero movie, you know, but they at least need to be compelling. Like they need to land their cliches well.
I'm going to make a comparison here, and I know this is going to be kind of a hot topic for some people, but I think the comparison here is between DC and Marvel. And I think when you're talking about cliches and handling them, Marvel just does such a better job of these things. I feel like these cliches in DC movies have always been so superficial, and they didn't really hold any weight for me. And I feel like Marvel just spends more time thinking about how we take these things that everybody's seen before and we do it in a way that's different and kind of new. It's like a little bit of a tweak that kind of gives the audience something to kind of connect with in a way they haven't before.
Yeah, because, I mean, we can complain about maybe some of the nuances of plot in Avengers Endgame, but the emotions were certainly there.
Yeah.
And in Infinity War, the emotions were certainly there. You know, that is a distinct problem with DC films.
And you know what it is I think you hit it on the nail right there, is that Marvel, I think, takes their time with the characters themselves and building that, so they earn that emotional payoff in the end of the movies.
Yeah, and it's really a shame because a lot of the things that this movie is going for, I'm a big fan of. Like, I like how this movie shows the world through women's eyes. I like how it makes jokes about fragile male egos. And how do you have something that's taking place in 1984 and you don't have any great 80s pop songs? Like, what are you doing?
What are you doing? It's true. I don't know. That's kind of like, I kind of feel like they were using the 80s vibe for some reason.
Yeah.
It just felt like so many things in this film, I just felt like it was so performative.
Yeah.
Oh, man. It's just like, the more I think about this movie and the more we discuss it, the worse I feel. This was going to be the movie, like the superhero movie of the year that I was looking forward to, that was just going to excite me and thrill me, and just like I have a really good time with it. It didn't have to be something that blew me away. I wasn't expecting that. I was just expecting to have fun, and I didn't have fun.
My grade was dropping
throughout
the movie. Like it dropped from a B- down to what I'm gonna give it.
Oh, okay. Ugh. Well, what are you gonna give it from a B-? That's gonna be.
So you want to go to grades?
Yeah, let's do that.
I'm at a D+.
Okay. Oof.
Yeah, I was at a C- when the movie ended. I started thinking about it more. I'm at a D+, and no, I don't want to say that that's generous. I think that's right where it should be. There are things about the movie that are good. It's just that the things that are bad about it are crushing all of the opportunities that it has to be good.
I'm going to be a little better than you and go with a C+.
Damn, that's high.
Is
Why?
it? I just thought this movie was average. The whole thing, the whole thought going through my mind the entire time was, I'm going to forget this movie, and it's average. I think the actors did a good job. I think it was a very pretty film. I think there are scenes that just look very nice, but they just didn't mean anything to me. So, I mean, I give it a little credit for that.
I guess. I mean, there are C+ movies that were really average that I've really enjoyed. I guess that would be a C+ movie for me. This is average, but I enjoyed it. And then a D+ is a movie that's really average, and I really didn't enjoy it.
Yeah. I mean, it was just okay. I sometimes enjoy it myself. Sometimes just like I don't really care, and then that's where I ended up. C+.
Yeah.
Average.
So that's it for this episode.
Sorry, I was scratching myself. Like Cheetah. It's just like had an itch, I guess.
Yeah, and then this movie becomes a Catwoman. She's bouncing off things like a cat.
She's swinging on wires that are have electricity, and then she goes in the water, which has electricity, and that ends up...
I didn't understand the set pieces either.
Yeah, like the Christmas scene at the end. It's
Yeah,
like,
like,
why
what is
are they
this?
here in Christmas? I'm like, this makes no sense whatsoever.
The set pieces of the action sequences, too, I'm just like, what?
It just...
Do you remember towards the end, she's like trying to get to the villain and there's just wind? I'm like, why is it so windy? She just threw like a plane and made it invisible and she can't walk through wind?
She has all her power back at this point.
Oh gosh. All right, ready?
Man.
I gotta put this to bed. I'm not talking about this.